In the last video, I demonstrated the Pi Cycle Top indicator. The Pi Cycle Top indicator is a fantastic indicator to help you identify the top of a market so that you can maximize your profits during profit taking. But you didn't think I'd leave you hanging with just one top indicator, did you? Friends don't do that to each other. So in today's video, I'm going to give you another top indicator to help you maximize your profits so you can make that down payment on the super yacht or buy that condo in Monaco that you've had your eye on. This indicator is called the MVRV Z-Score indicator, which stands for Market Value, Realized Value, Z-Score. Created in 2018 by an anonymous blogger, Awe and Wonder, the MVRV Z-Score is a ratio between the difference of an asset's market value and its realized value, or market cap and its realized cap, and the standard deviation of its market capitalization. It's used to assess whether an asset is overvalued or even undervalued. Here's the formula used to calculate it. This formula has three components: market cap, or market value, realized cap, or realized value, and the Z-score. It's pretty simple. The market cap of any asset, Bitcoin in this case, is calculated by multiplying the price of the asset by the number of coins in circulation. Realized cap is a variation of market cap and is unique to Bitcoin and crypto due to the accessibility of the public ledger of transactions on each blockchain. It values each UTXO based on the price at which it was last moved. UTXO? What the hell is that? That stands for unspent transaction output. And basically, when you send Bitcoin from one wallet to another, what happens is all of the Bitcoin is taken out, some of it is sent, and then the rest is put back. The amount that's put back is sort of the change of the transaction, if you will, and that is the unspent transaction output. Basically, it's what you have in your wallet. The realized cap has no relationship to the current price. As such, it represents the realized value of all the coins on the network. Thus, when any amount of Bitcoin is sent or spent or moved in any way, its value, or its realized value, is reset to the current price of Bitcoin. And basically on the chart, you can think of realized cap or realized value as a long-term moving average that really doesn't fluctuate much at all over time. And the third component of the formula is the Z-score. The Z-score is a measurement of how far each data point is from the mean of the data set. Or in this case for Bitcoin, how many standard deviations does the current market cap differ from the realized cap? And that is the Z-score. So what the hell does all this mean? Basically, the MVRV Z-score measures the heat of the market. As the Bitcoin price tends to rise during a bull market, the market cap of the asset rises with it. And as it rises, it separates itself from the realized cap, which tends to lag significantly. As the two measures separate, the standard deviation between them tends to rise with it. The opposite also occurs during bear markets. As the price drops, the standard deviation between the market cap and the realized cap decreases and actually can even go negative. A very high MVRV Z-score would indicate that a price correction is imminent and also potentially a time to take profits and make the down payment on your super yacht. Historically, the MVRV Z-score ranges from a low of negative 0.7 or so to a high in the range of around 10 to 11. A sell zone, or an area where the Z-score gets to that you might consider selling some of the asset, has been developed over time, and that is when the Z-score gets above a level of approximately 7. And the buy zone has been developed over time, and that is when the Z-score gets below a level of 0 or when the Z-score turns negative. If you sell above 7 and buy below 0, you are in business. Now, that doesn't mean that in the future, the Z-score will always get above 7 or even below 0. But historically, that's what's happened over the past 3 bull market cycles. The current Z-score at the time I'm filming this is only 2.8. Even though the price has risen dramatically over the last few months, still the Z-score is pretty low. Let's take a look at the chart. Here we are in the first chart. I'm going to start with this one, not the MVRV yet, but I just wanted you to get an understanding of what the realized cap or realized price is all about. So you can see on this chart that there are two lines. A black line is the price of Bitcoin over time, in this case since 2010 or so. And then the orange line underneath it, or and occasionally above it is the realized price of Bitcoin. And you can see over time, the realized price really doesn't fluctuate dramatically. It tends to rise over time, but that's it. It doesn't really fall. And I'm trying to find a time when it actually went down, maybe in the early days, right in this area. Yes, the realized price did go down from $7 down to $5. And other than that, maybe in this area, the realized price did peak at $5,395 and bottomed out at $4,364. So there are times when the realized price does go down, but you can see in general, the realized price is significantly more stable than the actual price of Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. All right, let's look at the MVRV Z-Score chart. This is a little bit confusing, but again, we have the realized cap. On this chart is realized capitalization. That is the price at which all of the Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain has last moved. And the black line is the actual price of, or the market capitalization of Bitcoin at the moment. And then the red area is the sell zone right here, this range here. And again, it starts around 7 and they have it ending around 9. But basically anything north of 7 is an area where you could consider taking profits. And you can see that the MVRV score is this orange line. And then there's a buy zone that's rather narrow down here at the bottom. And that is in the range of 0. Okay, so let's look at this over time. Similar to the pi cycle top, the MVRV does mark, when it peaks, it does mark cycle tops and or local tops. And things get a little confusing in the early days. Again, just like the pi cycle top peaked twice during this area, the MVRV Z-Score peaked twice as well, right here and right here. But again, it was, of course, it was above the 7. If you had sold right here, you would have missed out on this run, and it never came back down for you to buy back in below where you sold. So that would have been not a great time to sell. This would have been wonderful if you had bought back in down here when the Z-Score was down in this area. But you can see after the Z-Score peaked at this time when Bitcoin was in this price run here, it did drop down, but it didn't get down to the green area. So if you had waited until the MVRV Z-Score got down into the green area, the buy zone, you would have missed out and bought at a higher price than when you sold, which is not what we really want to do. But other than this confusing time, the MVRV Z-Score and the data set I realize is pretty small. It's 2 cycles. So we've got one cycle and another cycle. Now, did the MVRV Z-Score identify the exact peak right in 2017? It was very close. I'm going to zoom in here. You can see the MVRV Z-Score peaked right here at 10, just before the all-time high. Perfect. Nailed it. But how do you know when the MVRV Z-Score is at this level that this is the peak? You don't. Of course, you don't have this data that's in the future. So basically, that's why this range developed. Anytime the MVRV gets in this range, you might consider taking some profits. And boy, it was not in that range for very long. Let's take a look at that again. Wow. What was the date here? December 5th to the 19th. So you had a couple weeks, but you really need to be paying attention during the bull run to catch that, because the price darts up into that range and then comes back down very quickly. Same thing here, up and down very quickly. Now here's the tricky one. In 2021, the MVRV Z-Score barely got into the sell range right here. And the price was approximately, it doesn't say the price, but I can tell you it was in the high 50s, low 60s at that point. And you can do the calculation if you want to on the market cap. But it was not at the peak in price, because the peak in price came right here, not here. This was around 63 to 65, and this was 69. So technically, it didn't mark the peak in price, but it marked the peak in the heat of the market. This was the biggest separation of the market cap of Bitcoin from the realized cap of Bitcoin. And you can see that the realized cap in this area was closer to the price of the market cap of Bitcoin. So the realized cap here is closer to the peak than the realized cap is right here. So that's why the MVRV Z-Score peaked in this area or in this time frame. Right now, we are at 2.83, so we've got a long way to go. Hopefully, there will be a sell signal, or they may have to adjust this line down. And if you look carefully over time, the MVRV Z-Score looks like it has trended in this direction. So it's possible that it's only going to peak in the neighborhood of maybe this area, 4 to 6. Right in that area, things might get a little tricky, and you have to keep an eye on the price, keep an eye on the markets, and potentially start taking some profits a little earlier than you might have traditionally back in 2017 and back in 2013. All right, that's it for this video. And also, if you're interested, I have a video on the Pi Cycle Top Indicator. I'll put a link for it down below. And tell me what you think of the MVRV Z-Score indicator, whether you're going to be using it. And if you have any other cycle top indicators, I would love to hear them. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.